Good evening, and welcome to Hope for the Homeless Foundation's third annual Partner Together to Give Hope event. I'm Steve McCarty, and I want to begin by thanking all of you who have been supporting HHF for the past 3 years, and those of you who have joined us along the way. If you're joining us for the first time, we welcome you, and we hope you will learn more about HHF and the work we are doing to address the homeless situation in the Portland metro area. We continue to carry out our mission, which is to identify and financially partner with organizations in the Portland area that are successfully helping homeless men, women, and children gain stability in their lives. So let me ask you 2 questions. First, in the past 2 years, has the homeless situation in the Portland area improved or continued to get worse? Second, how much are you being affected by the homeless situation, either directly or indirectly? Consider increased crime not being punished, the legalization of drugs, an open invitation for the homeless to take up residence in Portland, businesses shutting down, people choosing not to go downtown for fear of being accosted by the homeless, increased taxes, and ineffective government spending. Needless to say, the situation has gone from bad to worse. A key part of our mission is to identify organizations using a holistic approach model. Once identified, we thoroughly vet them to understand who they are, how they work, and how effective they are at getting people off the streets. Tonight, you will meet 4 new organizations doing great work. We have spent many hours getting to know these organizations. And I guess you could say HHF is the Consumer Reports for the homeless situation in Portland. And as we have said from the very beginning, we are doing the work so you don't have to. We all want our dollars to be used in an efficient and effective way. 100% of your dollars donated to HHF go to the organizations we vet and recommend for support. The HHF board covers all overhead and event costs, so your donations go to these organizations. To date, we have given out $300,000, $100,000 in 2020 and $200,000 in 2021. Our goal this year is a very lofty $400,000. This year, we are honored to have 2 major gifts. A huge thank you to Dean and Kathy Lemon and the Harry A. Merlot Foundation for their support. They are sponsors of tonight's event. This year, please consider increasing your donation. We are now set up to accept stock and mutual fund donations. Also, another effective way to contribute is through a qualified charitable distribution from an IRA for any required minimum distributions you may have. And one more ask. Please tell your friends, co-workers, and families about HHF and the work we are doing. If we all partner together, we will be able to give hope and help to the many who need it. Once again, thank you for your support and for giving us an hour of your time. Now, I would like to welcome back our MC, Gabby Vieska, to guide us through the rest of our time together. Gabby, the rest of the evening is yours.
Thank you so much, Steve, and hello, everyone. Welcome to our Partner Together to Give Hope campaign. It is great to see you all, and I want to thank you for being here with us tonight. As Steve mentioned, my name is Gabby Vieska, and I am delighted to be your MC tonight. I really love what Hope for the Homeless Foundation does, so it truly is a privilege to be part of this event tonight. So Doug and team, thank you so much for inviting me back again. Before we start our program, I'd like to take just a few seconds to talk about the different buttons and sections that you will be interacting with tonight. Some of you might already be familiar with it because you've been part of this event in previous years, but if you are new and you don't know this platform very well, don't you worry, I got you. I'm gonna give you all the details so that you can navigate it like a pro. The first thing I want you to locate is the chat box. If you look at the right-hand side of your screen, you will see the chat section, and at the bottom of that section, you will see a small window, like a small box, where you can type your comments. I want to make sure that you can locate it, and I want to ask you to type something, anything, your name, where you're joining from, what you're excited about, and I'm going to look at it to make sure there's something in the chat box going on. So please just say Your name, hello, hola, bonjour, anything. Oh, I see. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. Jeff says hello. Hey, Jeff. Hi, everyone. Jill. Hey, Jill. It's great to see you. Okay. Thank you so much, guys, for engaging. I want to make sure everybody knows how to use the chat box. If at any time during the event you have any questions, you can use this chat box to ask them. The next thing I want to point out to you is the 3 tabs that you'll see at the top of the chat window. One of them says chat, the other one says polls, and the third one says handouts. At this point, I don't need you to do anything with it. I just want to make sure you know where those are. I will be referring you to those throughout the event. If at any time you have any technical difficulties, you can contact Linda. You will see her phone number at the top of the chat box in that blue box. That's her cell phone number, and she will be our tech guru. If you have any questions, any technical issues, feel free to text her or call her, and she'll try her best to help you out. Now, if the issues are on our end, which is a big possibility because it's, the age of technology going bad sometimes, I'm just going to ask you to bear with us and do not go away. Just stay there. If the camera freezes, if somehow you lose me, we'll be contacting Linda as well, and she'll be helping us out. But we will be back, so hang in there. If anything goes wrong, it'll be part of just having fun tonight. The cost of tonight's event has been generously underwritten by the board members of Hope for the Homeless Foundation. And we also want to thank 2 very generous sponsors for this event tonight, Dean and Kathy Lemon and the Harry A. Merlot Foundation. Thank you so much to both of you for your generosity. Lastly, I just have one more housekeeping thing for you. If at any time during the event you would like to donate, you can do that by clicking on the link that will show up in the chat box right now. We will share this link a few times throughout the night in case you just cannot wait to donate and you want to do it. The link is right there for you. Okay, so why are we here tonight? We are all gathered here to make a difference in the lives of many people who are homeless in the Portland area. And we are going to do that by raising funds. These funds will be then given to specific organizations who are already doing amazing work among the homeless population here in Portland, and you will be hearing from each one of them tonight. Those of you who give $1,000 or more will be able to vote on your favorite organization, and I will explain later tonight what that means, what it's going to look like. Our goal for this year is to raise $400,000, and our hope is that your donations will help us get there. Our plan is to distribute the first $200,000 among the 4 finalists we will introduce to you tonight. And any extra donations that we receive will be distributed to previous grant recipients at the discretion of the board. This part is very important to us because we want to continue to partner with organizations that we've supported in the past and that they continue to do impactful work in our city. We're all about fostering long-lasting relationships that we know will translate into long-lasting results. So even though there are many different ways we will allocate the money that we raise, you can be sure that 100% of your donations will go to these organizations that we know and trust. So for the first $200,000 that we raised tonight, this is how we're going to distribute the money. The first place vote getter will receive 40% of the donations raised. That is $80,000. And the other 3 organizations will receive equal parts of the remaining 60%. That means that each one of those 3 organizations will receive $40,000. I hope that makes sense. First place vote getter will receive $80,000, and the rest of the finalists will receive $40,000 each. So tonight, you will be hearing from a lot of different people. You will hear from Doug Marshall from Hope for the Homeless Foundation. We will introduce you to our 4 finalists. These are the organizations that we'll be partnering with this year. And later in the program, you will be able to vote for your favorite finalists. It's going to be a great night. Remember that you can donate at any time by clicking on the link that is shown in the chat box. Now, as you may or may not know, this is HHF's third consecutive year rallying people together to make a difference in the city of Portland. The first year, we raised $100,000. The second year, we raised $200,000. And this year, as Steve mentioned, our goal is to raise $400,000. And I know that with your help, we can get there. As you can see, HHF is growing rapidly. And I don't say that in a boastful way. In fact, what I want to highlight is the importance of small beginnings and a big, big vision, a big dream. 3 years ago, all we had was a vision. But behind that vision was a man who was committed to seeing his city transformed. That man is Doug Marshall. And together with a group of friends, they founded Hope for the Homeless Foundation with the goal of working towards this beautiful vision: to transform Portland into a livable city where everyone can thrive and homelessness is rare. Please welcome Doug Marshall, President of Hope for the Homeless Foundation.
Thank you, Gabby, for the introduction, and thank you for being our MC for the third consecutive year for this event. Have you ever asked yourself, why does Portland have a homeless crisis that is far more significant than most other cities throughout the country? Why is that? Well, I've spent the past year trying to answer that question. What is it specifically about Portland that causes homelessness to flourish here? If you're interested in what I've learned, I would encourage you to download HHF's comprehensive plan to significantly reduce homelessness in the Portland metro area. It not only identifies the reasons for our homeless crisis, but it also includes a 9-point plan to help solve it. And yes, I use the word solve because this crisis is solvable. In the time I have remaining, I'd like to give you a very brief answer to the question, why does Portland have such a significant homeless crisis? But before I do, I want to address 3 common misconceptions about homelessness. The first misconception is homelessness is increasing throughout the United States. That's simply not true. Between 2009 and 2019, homelessness actually decreased 10% nationwide. And geographically, it declined in 39 states. And as we all know, during the same period, homelessness in Portland got worse, not better. The second misconception is homelessness is concentrated in certain cities and states because of the weather. Well, that's not exactly true. Granted, it's easier to be homeless in Portland than Chicago, especially in the winter, but weather isn't the only factor. If it were, why is homelessness relatively low in other warm weather states of Florida, Arizona, Texas, and throughout the South? The third misconception is homelessness is primarily caused by a lack of affordable housing. Although this is commonly accepted as fact, it is not the primary cause of homelessness. Based on conversations that we've had with several nonprofits that help the homeless, there are many factors that contribute to homelessness, but the primary causes are substance abuse and mental illness, not a lack of affordable housing. There's a far better explanation for the current distribution of homelessness in the United States than warm weather or the lack of affordable housing. Despite suffering from high rates of addiction and mental illness, homeless people, just like you and me, make rational decisions. They are highly responsive to public policy. They migrate towards cities with the most generous benefits and towards the most permissive policy environments. And this is why Portland has a homeless population that is 2 times the national rate. Portland is generous towards the homeless in services provided and has the ideal policy conditions to encourage the homeless to sleep on our streets, feed an addiction, commit property crimes to survive with little or no law enforcement to change behavior. And that is why we have a growing, festering homeless crisis in Portland. Understand this, we need to be compassionate towards the homeless. Life on the street is a living hell, But the most compassionate thing we can do is to solve this homeless crisis is by financially supporting those organizations that are actually succeeding in helping the homeless return to stability so they're no longer homeless. And that is why we're here tonight. Tonight, we're going to introduce you to 4 outstanding organizations that deserve your financial support. We've included a vetting summary for each of the 4 finalists for your review. If you're interested, Gabby will show you how to download both HHF's Plan to Reduce Homelessness in Portland and the vetting summary for our 4 finalists.
Thank you so much, Doug, for sharing such eye-opening information and for reminding us that this crisis is solvable. Before we move on with the program, I'm going to show you where to find those handouts that Doug mentioned. If you go to the top of the chat box, the handouts tab, if you click on it, that's where you'll find the comprehensive plan to reduce homelessness in the Portland area and the vetting summary results of how tonight's 4 organizations were vetted. Feel free to download it now, and you can look at it in detail once the event is over. At this time, I'd like to introduce you to a dear friend and a board member of Hope for the Homeless Foundation. Molly Ryken has been part of HHF from the very beginning, and she's going to share with us some of her own highlights and joys of being part of HHF's board. Please welcome Molly Ryken.
Hi everyone, thanks for being here tonight. I've had the great privilege of being an HHF board member since we started in 2019, and I'd like to take you inside a typical board meeting. Imagine, if you will, it's Monday night and you're sitting around Doug and Carol's dining room table, the ever-present bowl of M&Ms easily within your reach. Doug hands out the agenda, and for the next 2+ hours, you discuss, debate, disagree, do research, disagree some more, synthesize, and finally agree on a plan of action. The topic under discussion is the nonprofit you vetted just last week and whether it should be chosen as one of the 4 finalists. You are humbled knowing that your vote could change the trajectory of the nonprofit's future and the future of the homeless they serve. As the meeting winds down and you say goodbye to these colleagues who have become your friends, you think, it's been a good night. We've had many such good nights over these last 3 years, and as a result, HHF has challenged me, inspired me, and motivated me. Challenged because I had some pretty ingrained misconceptions about the homeless. The biggest misconception I had, and I think it's in the drinking water really in Portland, is that sufficient affordable housing will end homelessness. As Doug has already mentioned, and our HHF research overwhelmingly proves, safe temporary housing plus a recovery program that addresses the underlying cause of a person's homelessness, then help finding permanent housing is a much better plan. Secondly, I've been inspired by the selfless, dedicated nonprofit workers, 4 of whom you'll meet tonight, and also inspired by the people who have had the courage to come off the street and do the hard work to rewrite their stories. You'll hear some of their stories tonight as well. Finally, HHF has motivated me to be more compassionate. You never know when a small act of kindness could ignite hope in someone feeling hopeless. Last week, I stopped at a rest stop on my way up to Seattle. I noticed a 30-something lady with a sign sitting on the ground with people hurrying past her. No one was making eye contact. She caught my attention because she had the coolest spiky hairdo. I asked if she'd like a power bar, and she said sure. So I got that and then sat down beside her. I asked her to tell me her story, and when she did, I realized that we had just vetted a nonprofit in the area where she and her husband were headed. Also, she would be in the area of our weekly dinner that our church puts on for anyone who can come. I wrote down the name of the nonprofit and the Jesus Table information and told her I really hope to see her again over a great meal. Wouldn't that just be cool? I guess the best part of being on the HHF board is knowing that the work we are doing is impacting lives. Thank you for being a part of that work.
Thank you so much, Molly, for sharing your joy with us and for all the work you do with HHF. It is now time to introduce you to our first finalist. This organization is called Blanchet House, and their mission is to alleviate suffering by offering food and transitional housing to folks who live on the streets. Let's check out their video.
The mission of Blanchet House is to alleviate suffering, and we do that by providing food and transitional housing to people, and we do that in ways that serve with compassion and to their dignity. That's our mission. For our meal service program, we feed anybody who comes to the door looking for a meal. We do breakfast, lunch, and dinner 6 days a week, Mondays through Saturdays, and we've been doing that service for 70 years. We have a transitional housing program for men in Old Town where we serve our meals, and then we have a transitional program in Carlton, Oregon. That's Blanchet Farm. We have 60 acres out there, and that is a residential program for men with addiction. But one of the things that we're really focused on right now, and I think that in particular this grant, if we were to receive it, will help with, is the mental health and the other kind of stability support that our residents need. So we're looking to continue to beef up our staff in terms of mental health support. We're looking to bring in a social worker who can come in and really help the men with their search for stable employment and stable housing. Both locations really operate in the same way. They're 9-month transitional housing programs. Although we don't let the calendar dictate their stay, we really want to give the men the space and the time that they need to be ready to be successful. And then during that time, they're meeting with case management, they're meeting with peer support, and they're thinking about what they want to do after that 3-month period. And what they do, most of them, is they get jobs. And we don't charge for any of our services. So this is another 6 to 9 month period that they can save money, stabilize in that employment, and work with our team to find stable housing. For many of the people who enter our program, the meal service is the gateway in. So when the shutdown happened, right, March 17th, 2020, Chad relapsed into alcoholism, and he found himself in a tent across the street from our location at Northwest 3rd and Gleason. And Chad is an incredibly friendly guy. And he asked us, how do I get into your program? That sounds like a good deal. And then he turned out to be an extremely successful member of our community. After a while, he got himself a job at Amazon. He very quickly got promoted at Amazon. He's got a place where he lives, and he's like living his life again. What we do with this grant money is that we would look to continue beefing up the support that we're providing for our residents. And that would be hiring more staff to provide mental health and social work support, really improving how we're helping our residents find stable employment and stable housing as it's become more difficult to do so. This is the work that we want to do, and this is why a grant like this can help us move forward in this work. At the end of the day, our mission is very simple, but we understand that the work we're doing is extremely complex and extremely people-centered, which means it's complicated.
Thank you so much, Scott, for introducing us to Blanchet House and for all the love and compassion that you extend to the homeless community in Portland. In our next section, we are going to test your knowledge. Throughout the night, I'll be asking a few questions related to the homeless crisis in Portland, and we'll see just how many of them you get right. The questions are going to show up on your screen, so you can just wait for them to pop up, or you can also go to the poll section located above the chat section. That's where you'll see the question, and you will also see everybody else's answers, so just don't cheat. These are all multiple choice questions, so no need to sweat over this. We're going to start with a really easy one. This is a true or false question, and I want to know if you guys are ready. Okay, here we go. Is the following statement true or false? The homeless crisis is increasing throughout the United States. Is that a true statement or a false statement? Please select the answer that you think is correct, and I'm going to give you a few seconds to think about it. If for some reason you have a hard time finding it, just click anywhere near the beginning of the word, and at some point you'll get it. Make sure you click the submit button so that your answer can be recorded. Now let's see what Everybody said we have 79% of the audience saying that that is false. And the correct answer is false. The homeless crisis is not increasing throughout the United States. It is increasing in Portland, but not throughout the country. Based on the 2019 Annual Homeless Assessment Report to Congress, homelessness declined 10% nationwide, and geographically, it declined in 39 states between 2009 and 2019. These statistics are not only eye-opening, they also give us all the more reasons to support those who are actively reversing the pattern of the growing homeless crisis here in Portland. Thank you for engaging this little poll. We'll have 2 more questions later in the evening. Now, make sure you are back on the chat section. Just click on the chat tab and you'll be joining everybody else. Our second finalist tonight is Bybee Lakes Hope Center. They provide services to men, women, and families with children who are on the streets and are ready to make sustainable changes in their lives to achieve self-sufficiency. Let's hear from them.
Everybody has a story, and everybody has multiple obstacles they face to re-enter society. And so what we do different than everybody else is we have our own proprietary data system. We collect as much information and data from people as we can when they come through the door. And then we take that data and we wrap services around them based off of their story. We evaluate all the obstacles they face to re-enter society. Instead of sending people to multiple locations to receive services, we bring those services to the person. Our organization has 11 facilities in 5 Oregon counties. At the end of this year, we'll be providing housing for 650 people a night in those 5 counties. In 4 of our counties, we're the largest provider of shelter. We're the place that everybody gets sent to. And we provide emergency shelter, up to a 30-day emergency shelter stay. That's low barrier. And in that time, we navigate and help people get to the resources that they need. One of our clients, Gloria Perez, who's now our operations manager at Bybee Lakes Hope Center. She lived through very traumatic situations and domestic violence and assault, and she found herself homeless and addicted, and she was living under a bridge, and she was broken when she came to us. And she's got this amazing story of living through some of the toughest things we can deal with, and she just got her son back, and she's just moving into her own house now, and she runs our operations for our facility. And today her story is changing the lives of many. When you could build a community that is safe, accountable, and compassionate, people choose to want to be there and choose to want to change their life. And it's the first of its kind in the United States. We will take this money and it'll go directly to the services to provide the best help we could possibly provide for people coming through our door. There's cost affiliated with serving people. You know, we have to rely on people to come and look at our organization, make sure we provide and do what we say we're going to do, and then utilize those resources to make sure that that money reaches the person and doesn't get absorbed into some sort of administrative stuff. Bybee Lakes Hope Center at the Jordan Schnitzer campus is a person-centered facility. And being able to take a person in and actually assist them in a trauma-informed manner to give them the tools they need to be sustainable in a community is what is unique about our organization. We're getting about 7 to 10 intakes a day, and we have just about as many of those people moving back into the community as people coming through our door, so it's pretty amazing.
Thank you so much, Alan. As you mentioned, everybody has a story, and I love the story that Bybee Lakes is writing and the many lives you are changing. Okay, I hope you guys are ready for our second multiple choice question. Once again, you can wait for it to pop up, or you can go to the polls tab to see the question and everybody else's answers. Here we go. What is the best reason to explain why certain cities have a larger concentration of homeless people? Is it A, warm weather, B, cities with a lack of affordable housing, C, cities with the most generous benefits and permissive public policies towards homelessness, or D, all of the above? I'll give you a little bit of time. Remember to click anywhere near the answer you think is the correct one. Make sure you hit submit, and let's see what everybody thinks. Oh, it was almost 100%, but most people got it right. The correct answer is C. Cities with the most generous benefits and permissive public policies towards homelessness. Now, let me clarify something. Warm weather and a lack of affordable housing are contributing factors to where the homeless live. But the primary causes are generous benefits and permissive public policies towards the homeless. Before we move on, I want to remind you that you can give at any time by clicking on the link in the chat box. Also, if you have any other questions besides a few of the technical issues that some of you are experiencing, please keep using the chat box. Now it's time to hear from our third finalist. This organization is called Transitional Youth, and they offer hope, opportunities, and change to at-risk youth in Oregon and Washington. Let's hear from them.
Our mission is to reach at-risk youth where they're at and offer hope and services to change the trajectory of their lives. So we serve young people actually 0 to 24. And the reason why is because this is a window of opportunity that we can help reach young people where they're at, whether that is youth aging out of foster care, youth that have already experienced homelessness on the streets, youth that are being trafficked, youth in other agencies. We reach them where they're at and offer tangible services, whether it be food, clothing, hygiene items, but more than that, it's hope through mentorship, through life skills training, through job training. And so our program offers housing and long-term resources within that housing program. All of our housing is a year long. We have 4 homes, one for young mamas and babies in Vancouver, one for girls who are just coming off the streets or out of trafficking in Damascus, one for young men in Yakult, Washington, and another in Wilsonville for young men. They come in, they land in a safe place. For many of them, they've never experienced a family meal sitting around a table. They're constantly on the run and afraid to even be present in the place that they're in. So many of the youth that we work with are experiencing home for the very first time. It's a lot like foster care for young people 18 to 24 years old. And so we are teaching basic life skills, but for a lot of the young people we work with that have literally never experienced the safety of a home, these are huge gifts for them. I met Anna on the streets actually in downtown Portland when she was about 16 years old, and she had experienced homelessness all of her life, off and on. She grew up in foster care. She'd been on the street since she, I think, was about 14 years old. I met her when she was 16. When she was just about to turn 18, she was 7.5 months pregnant. Anna was living on the streets in a tent at that time and literally went from a tent to the hospital to deliver her baby. And we knew that it was absolutely crucial to get her into this home before she could make up her mind to go back out to the streets. And we knew that every day that she spent in this home was a miracle and was a success, whether it was 1 day, 10 days, or 2 years, because the truth is she had spent so much time on the streets and in the culture of homelessness that being in a home within 4 walls, the safety of 4 walls, she never experienced before. She stayed 1.5 years and now is living in her own apartment. We have so many ways that we could put this money to use, from even paying rent at our 4 homes to going towards a vehicle. One of the greater needs right now is actually a reliable vehicle to get our young people to their jobs, their doctor's appointments, things like that. And so our hope truly is to bring them in and offer them the truth of who they are, their identity in Christ, their identity of value that is separate from a system that will forever keep them tied to food stamps and free housing. And so our hope is to teach them the value of a work ethic, integrity, personal responsibility, and that they can actually step into the design and plans that God has for them.
Thank you so much, Rana. I just love that your focus is on the youth, because if there is hope for the youth, there is hope for the future. So thank you so much once again. Okay, guys, I hope you are ready for our third and final question of the night. This one is a fill in the blank type of question, and here it is. Portland's homeless population is A, less than the national rate, B, about the same as the national rate, C, 50% more than the national rate, or D, twice the national rate. This one is a tricky one, so let's see how many of you get it right. I'm going to look at the screen here, and I don't see anything yet, so I'm just going to wait until I see some answers pop up. I see a few people have already voted. I'll give you guys just a little bit more time. Ooh, most of you are paying attention. That is wonderful. 90% of you are correct. The correct answer is D. Based on the 2022 point-in-time homeless count and the 2020 census, Oregon has twice the homeless population rate compared to the national average. Thank you so much for participating in our educational polls. Last, but definitely not least, is our fourth finalist, Union Gospel Mission's Women's Life Change Program. They offer life-changing pathways for those experiencing homelessness, hunger, addiction, and abuse. Let's hear from Jason about the plans they have for their Life Change program for women.
Union Gospel Mission is a faith-based organization, and so our mission is through the transformative power of Jesus Christ, we open up life-changing pathways for those experiencing homelessness, hunger, addiction, and abuse. For those who have demonstrated a capacity and a willingness, they can enter into our Life Change program, which is a 2-year program. We serve men at our downtown location, and then we also serve women and their children at our Beaverton location. And the idea behind that is if somebody's experiencing addiction, trying to recover from addiction, or experiencing poverty or homelessness, they're living in a vortex. And our goal is to pull them out of the vortex, give them a safe, healing place where they can recover, and then build the skills that they need to become self-sufficient and productive members of society. What we do is, through a couple different programs, our search and rescue efforts is we go out into homeless camps and we develop relationships with people. And the idea behind building the relationships is to build trust so that people are willing to come in off the streets. Last year, we were able to help 350 people get into permanent supportive housing. Those were people previously living on the streets in their cars in camps are now in supportive housing. The other example is Shay. And Shay was somebody who also struggled with addiction. She was ostracized from her family. She was living in a tent with her 2 children. Because of the living accommodations and because of her addiction, she lost her kids to the foster care system. She entered into Life Change. She got her life turned around. She's clean and sober. She's developed a wonderful career path in the construction field, and she is taking her experience and sharing that with other residents. She's paying it forward, and so she's helped to open up career pathways for some of our current residents. But the best part of that story is she's reunited with her kids. Her kids are back with her, and her family has been made whole because of Life Change. We've been only able to serve around 17 women and their kids at our current facility. It's aging, we rent it, and so we took the effort 2 years ago to launch a campaign to build a new facility that will more than double our capacity. And so we are slated to open in January 2024, and it'll allow us the ability to house 48 women and 32 kids, again, more than doubling our capacity. What we will find is in the next decade, we will be able to serve 2,000 homeless women and their children. That is where we would like to direct this grant from Hope for the Homeless. It'll allow us to build 2 suites, which could hold up to 4 women and 8 children. And that's a permanent thing. That is a long-lasting thing that'll be there. It's available now.
Thank you so much, Jason. We are excited for the plans that you have to expand your facilities so that more women and children can thrive together. In our next section, we're going to hear the story of Amber, a woman whose life is a testament of the power of hope and determination in the face of hardship. Amber has been deeply impacted by Hope for the Homeless Foundation and also by Road to Hope, which is one of the organizations we've supported in the past. Let's hear Amber's story.
Hi, everyone. I'd like you to meet my friend, Amber Sipe. She has an amazing story of hope to share with us today. And I just want to thank you, Amber, for doing this, for sharing your journey with us.
Thank you.
That journey began with a very difficult childhood. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, Molly, I was born into a broken home with a mom who struggled with drug and alcohol addictions and ran into unhealthy relationships to make herself feel valued. Her marriage to my stepfather was extremely abusive, not only to her, but later to me. Beginning at 7 years old, he started sexually and physically abusing me while I was essentially raising my 2 younger siblings. I, at the very end of 8th grade, had to report the abuse to a school counselor and who helped me to involve law enforcement. After a lengthy court involvement, we ended up getting 28 years.
So he's still in jail now.
Yes.
Praise God.
Yeah, it was a really big blessing to have it end that way.
Coming into adulthood then, you were in and out of 3 abusive relationships, as I understand.
Yeah.
The second one of which, though, produced your beautiful son, Bowen, who's 5 now.
Yes.
But tell us about your last relationship.
My last relationship, it started out as me being a single mom with a 2-year-old boy who, in my mind, I was helping to provide a father figure for. What he turned into, though, was a monster. He struggled with his own addiction, and when he relapsed, he became extremely physically abusive to my son and I. We lost our apartment in February of 2021, after which we were homeless in and out of hotels and staying in our car. The abuse only getting worse. My son ended up sustaining so severe injuries that he needed a lengthy hospital stay and surgery to repair his injuries. This is when DHS stepped in and removed him from my care, which put him in a really great point to heal and to learn how to be a kid for the first time in his life. But it put me back in a car with an abuser, and at the time I was 4 months pregnant. And my only goals were to give birth to my daughter and give her to a safe home so that I could attempt suicide again.
Wow. But then you made a life-changing call to Road to Hope Maternity House. You were accepted. Tell us about that story.
After I made that call, I was put on the wait list for 2 weeks before moving into the house, and it was like nothing I'd ever experienced before. I didn't know what a healthy home looked like. I didn't know what a healthy family looked like. And Frank and Elena gave me that, welcoming me into their home. I still remember that first day being given a room with a bed and being able to take a shower for the first time in, I don't even know, and Elena telling me that she loved me, and it being from the heart. I can remember being a teenager and never expecting to even live to the age that I am now. So the opportunity to not just live this long, but to be a mom of amazing kids and be a part of a family that loves and accepts me for who I am is not even something I would have believed at that age.
And how are you feeling now, and what does your future look like?
Now I am stable, I'm happy. I have a relationship with God and my children that I didn't even think possible. Both of them are with me now. Our DHS case is closed as of the 20th of September.
Oh, congratulations.
And I have a career that I love. Not only am I a resident at Road to Hope, but I am now the office coordinator. I get to, among other admin duties, take intake calls and minister to moms that are exactly where I was. And it's so fulfilling to me to be able to do this now. I can't imagine doing anything else. I'm really good.
The story of Amber is one among many stories of people who are seriously struggling on the streets. Amber was able to change her story due to her determination and the support of HHF. In fact, the job that she got at Road to Hope was directly funded by an HHF grant. And we want to extend those types of opportunities to more and more people. And before we move on to the next section, I'd like to ask a question to you, the audience. When you heard Amber's story, what did you feel? Some of us felt rage when we heard about the abuse. We felt frustrated and sad that she underwent all of that. But I also felt inspired by her. I felt excited that she's in a new place experiencing healing and freedom. Don't you wish there were more people out there experiencing a life-changing transformation like Amber did? I know I do. And the reality is that very few of us have the time or the training or the infrastructure to come alongside the homeless populations in ways that are truly transformative in the long run. And that can be a bit demoralizing at times. We want to help, but we just don't know how to, or we just simply can't. But that's where Hope for the Homeless Foundation comes in. We do the work of vetting organizations so that you don't have to. We take the time to visit each organization and study what they do so that we can make sure that every dollar that you give is directly impacting people's lives. We are the bridge that connects you to the people doing the work. We connect your hands to the hands of the people in the trenches, on the streets, and I want you to visualize this human chain. This is how we partner together to give hope. This is how we make real change happen. And let me tell you something. There have been times in my life when I've lost all sense of direction, times when I felt stuck or lost and a little helpless, all of that while having a roof over my head, food on my plate, and a monthly check. And it was still hard. Can you imagine what this sense of helplessness must feel when you have no home, no family around you, no access to basic services, and no clear pathway ahead of you? Think about the last person that you saw, the last homeless person that you saw. It was probably sometime this week if you live in Portland. And if you don't remember their face, I want to invite you to think about a homeless person you've seen before, maybe not this week, that for some reason has stuck in your mind, in your heart. And I know that you can think of someone. And once you have that person in mind, I want to invite you to answer this question. If you could do something for this person, what would you do? For me, it would be an elderly lady that I saw on the sidewalk by the Multnomah County Library downtown. I remember she was holding on to a walker and she was wearing tons of layers because it was the winter. As I think of her and ask myself, what would I want to do for this woman? I would want to offer her a home. I would want her to have multiple hot meals a day. I would want to offer my listening ear to hear about her story, her dreams, her hopes, her challenges, and just be a friend to her. And I would love for her to have an entire community around her to remind her that she is not forgotten. And I know that by myself, I cannot make all of this happen. But I also know that if I give to HHF, the impact of my gift will be significantly bigger than anything I could do all on my own. And you can do the same. You can do the same tonight. Your gift will support the people that are in the front lines working day and night, changing the lives of many. And I know that these are difficult times. I know that the pandemic has hit all of us and inflation is off the roof, but I want to ask you to please be as generous as you can, because there are people in great need these days that would seriously benefit from your gift. And I know, I am confident that every single dollar that you give will make a tremendous impact. This is going to translate into something tangible for people. In just a second, you will see a pop-up window that will show up on your screen. And I'm going to ask you to hold on for a second. The screen will say donate now, but before you click on the button, I want to ask you to listen to all the instructions because you will need them. Once you click on the donate button, a separate window will open. And if you cannot see it, just check on the tabs, all the different tabs on your web browser. It should be one of those. That other page that is going to pop up is the Hope for the Homeless Foundation page. And it will have two big green buttons. One of them will say donate by credit card, and the other one will say donate by check. Once you click on either of those options, you're going to fill out the fields with the information. You're going to let us know how many thousands of dollars you'd like to donate. And I'm going to ask you to come back to the main tab, to our main event screen, once you are done with your donation. There's going to be a song playing in the background, and while you input all the information, and once the song is over, that will be your cue that it is time to come back to the main event. Once you're back, you will see the same window that says donate now. So to close it, just click on the X on the upper right corner and you'll be back with us. With that, now you can go ahead and make your donation. You can click on that button. And once again, we are so thankful for your generosity. Thank you so much for your generous donations. I know that many lives will be impacted and transformed thanks to you. Muchas gracias. And now it's time for you to vote. You will get to decide how the money gets dispersed among these 4 wonderful organizations. And Steve is going to help us explain the voting process to you. So Steve, we're ready for you, friend. I'm going to step out.
Thank you, Gabby. Great job tonight. We really appreciate it. And thanks to all of you for your generous financial support for these 4 organizations. And as we move into your opportunity to vote to fund each one of these nonprofits, let me touch on a couple of details. First, remember, as a voting participant, it means you have given $1,000 or more tonight or during the past year. Second, a couple is considered one giving unit and gets 1 vote. If you have invited friends to your house to watch our event and both of you have given $1,000 or more, here is how both giving units may vote. Our platform will allow 1 vote per computer. So in order to record a second vote, tell us in the chat box who your vote should go to with your name next to it, and we will manually add it to the totals. Of the donations received this past year and tonight, $200,000 will be divided up among our finalists as follows. The first place vote recipient will receive 40% or $80,000. The second, third, and fourth vote recipients each receive 20% or $40,000. So let's do a quick review of the 4 finalists. Blanchet House provides meals, transitional shelter, drug and alcohol recovery programs to men struggling with homelessness and addiction. Bybee Lakes Hope Center provides services to men, women, and families experiencing homelessness who are ready to make sustainable changes to achieve self-sufficiency. Transitional Youth provides outreach, support, guidance, and housing to homeless and at-risk youth to really change the trajectory of their lives. And last, Union Gospel Mission Life Change Program for Women focuses on homeless and hurting women and children, providing housing and case management programs to transform lives and break them free from addiction and destructive life patterns. So please vote now if you have given $1,000 or more. The pop-up on your screen will go away once the voting has closed. And after you cast your vote, be sure to click the Polls tab to see how others are voting. Again, thank you so much and happy voting.
All right. Thank you so much for voting. If you are looking at the polls tab, you can see the results right there. So I would like to congratulate Transitional Youth for getting the most amount of votes. They will receive $80,000, and I'm going to do a happy dance for them. Yes. We also want to congratulate Blanchet House, Bybee Lakes Hope Center, and Union Gospel Missions Women's Life Change. Each one of them will receive $40,000. I should add that in addition to the financial grant, the 4 finalists will also receive a copy of their video to be placed on their website, which is a huge gift in itself. So thank you so much to HHF and to Jeff Silverman for putting together these wonderful videos. Congratulations to all of you once again. And I should remind you that any funds we receive above the $200,000 we just distributed will be allocated among previous grant recipients at the discretion of the board. So thank you to those of you who went above and beyond in your giving tonight. And thank you once again to Dean and Kathy Lemon and the Harry A. Merlo Foundation. And just like that, we've reached the end of our program. Time just flew by. We want to thank you once again for being here tonight, for your amazing support, and for partnering with us and with these outstanding organizations. If you have a family member or a friend that was unable to attend tonight but would love to watch the recording, you can send us an email or you can check out our website. We're going to post it there. And that's it. That's all, folks. It was great to be with you tonight. Thank you once again, and see you next year. Adios.